Hello, all people. Thank you for joining my channel today. I'm so grateful that you stopped by to hear what I have to say. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. It's something that everybody deals with, but maybe everybody is just not completely aware of it. And that is your paradigm, which, for the last few weeks, we've been talking about your mindset, but something that goes before your mindset is actually your paradigm. Now, your paradigm is a training that you may have gotten consciously or unconsciously when you were small. So for some people, you grow up and you put your pants on with the right leg first, and then you put it in the left leg. For other people, you might put on your shirt first and then put on your pants. All that is just kind of like a training of when you were growing up, how your parents taught you how to do things. Now, the paradigm can be very like I said, you can be very conscious of your paradigm, or you can be very unconscious of it. And an example of being unconscious is like, for example, for me, when I got pregnant with Eliza, I used to eat candy bars all the time. Well, actually, before I got pregnant with her, I used to eat them all the time. I love sweets. My friends used to tease me about it all the time because I was always like munching on something that was either unhealthy or sweet that was not doing me any good. And so when I got pregnant, I lost the taste for these sweets. Like, it was amazing to me how much I wanted to eat something sweet, but when I would put it in my mouth, I would be repelled by it. And so when I really got to thinking about it, when we were growing up, my mom used to get food stamps. And so sometimes towards the end of the month, food stamps would run out. And so we would be kind of struggling, trying to put meals together. And so once we got, kind of re-upped on the food stamps, we would go and get a bunch of junk food and we would just eat until our bellies were full, really. And it was usually late at night whenever we had these snacks, and then we would just go to bed. So I kind of grew up with the mindset of like always wanting to have something to eat before I go to sleep at night. To this day, that's something I deal with. Like, I can go almost all day, like eating little bits of here and there, but like when it hits like 9 or 10 o'clock, I really want to start snacking. And that's just from the paradigm of when I grew up. My mom grew up doing stuff like that, just kind of eating whatever was available, or if it was sweet and it was there, you were going to eat it. So yeah, once I got pregnant, I could no longer stand anything sweet. I could not stand it. And so I remember, out of habit, I would pick up a candy bar. I would literally pick up a candy bar knowing I don't really want it, and then I'd buy it and then I'd put it in my purse. And I noticed that I was doing this every time that I was going to the grocery store. And so I remember there was one time I had bought a candy bar, put it in my purse. I forgot that I even bought it. And when I went back to the store later that day, I bought another one. And as I went to go put it in my purse, I realized that I had one in there already. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm just doing this out of habit because I'm used to every time I go check out, I buy a candy bar. And so it really got me thinking, like, I don't need to eat these. I don't even want it. Like, why am I buying these? So I actually had to train myself to stop buying that. And that's just a classic example of like your paradigm. Like, what you grow up seeing is something that you can basically be trained to do consciously or unconsciously. Now, I am a person that I'm very big on the books that you read, the things that you watch. Me and my fiance, we had a discussion about it the other day because he sometimes he likes to watch stuff that's bloody, but I guess that's a male thing. I don't know. I don't care for it. But I tell him, I was like, there's certain things I do not want you watching in front of the kids. And for the while, he was like, it's not real. It's not a big deal. And I had to tell him, I was like, look, you're a man of science. They do research on this. Look it up. Do not watch anything violent, anything scary, goblins, whatever. I don't want my kids watching that because some part of that is affecting them in a way. It used to affect Eliza in a really negative way where she would also have nightmares. I would have nightmares. She would have nightmares. We don't watch stuff like that. So anytime they are watching something, I make sure that it's something that's educational, it's beneficial to them. They do watch YouTube. They have their days when they kind of binge on YouTube. I usually give them an hour on YouTube, and then after that, okay, we're done. Every once in a while, if we're not really doing anything, I'll let them go ahead and watch it for a while. However, but I'm very conscious about what they watch because what you pour into kids is exactly what comes out. And usually it's in the most inopportune time that is coming out. So I just want to talk to you on the basis of your paradigm when it comes to business. A lot of people growing up, you were told that you're not smart, you can't do X, Y, and Z, you don't have the degree for this, who do you think you are? And honestly, you are whoever you tell yourself to be. So if you keep saying, well, I just started this business, I'm not really experienced, I'm just a beginner. Okay, well, people will see you as a beginner because that is what you are presenting, that's what you're putting forth for others to see. However, if you are trying to change, now don't get me wrong, there is a transition when you're going from learning something to actually becoming an expert in it. But when you're learning, you have to be careful about how you're approaching it, because if you constantly put it out there, well, I'm just learning this, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be aware of the words that you speak. There's power in your words, there's power in your thoughts. What you think about, if you think about it too long, it becomes an action. And what you do as an action can become a habit. And that's why it's so important that you are reading things that are helping you to set your goals, to accomplish your goals. You're listening to people. I listen to a lot of inspirational speakers. And in the beginning, I started watching that, and this was years ago. Like, I want to say almost 10 years ago, I started watching it because I originally thought it was making me feel better. But in the grand scheme of things, it was really educating me on things that had been told to me that were a lie. And I had to learn, I literally had to learn to unlearn what the lie was and relearn what the truth was. And a lot of times we don't know that it's a lie until somebody else proves and says, hey, that's not true. How many times do we say, well, I'm not smart enough to do this, I can't learn this, or I'm not good at this? Well, you've told yourself that so much that you've actually changed your paradigm to believe that it's not so. So I remember when I started this business, or Chris and I both, when we started this business called Business for Businesses, and it started off with a simple conversation, as all things usually do. He was going over some stuff with my journals that I created for kids. And he spent about 45 minutes going over what I needed to fix here, what I needed to fix there. And I said, you know, you have so many people that come to you for advice. I was like, you just spent 45 minutes going over a bunch of stuff that I thought I knew and had down and had no idea. I was like, do you know how much you could charge for that? And he was like, I don't know, maybe like $50 or something. And I was like, wrong. I said, you can charge really whatever you want. I said, but you could easily charge $300 because you're solving a problem for somebody where they are just stuck and they don't know where to go from there. And he had a hard time really receiving that. He really was like, oh, I don't know about that. And I was like, I do, because I've seen it time and time again. People will pay thousands of dollars. I mean, like, it's going on right now. People will pay thousands of dollars to resolve an issue so that they can get past it and move on to the next thing in their business, so they can start making the revenue that they know that they're capable of making. And so I remember when I told him this, it took him a few days for it to really sink in. I mean, I really had to tell him like the benefits of like all the knowledge that he has. And so when he finally got it, he was like, okay, because he was like, yeah, I do have a lot of people that are constantly wanting to have meetings with me. They're always asking me questions. And he's like, honestly, it's really killing my time. I said, the way that you weed that out is that you start telling people you're going to charge. You start telling them that you're going to charge for your time, and that will let you know who's serious and who's really going to listen to you. Because how many times have we given advice to friends, family, strangers even, and they say, oh, that's great advice, and then they walk off and they don't do anything that you say. When you have to pay for it, you're going to listen to every sentence, every syllable, and you're going to get your money's worth because you had to work for whatever you had to spend to get that advice. And it's so weird, but people just don't value it as much if you're giving it away for free. Go figure. You want to help people, but it's like you actually have to charge them. As weird as it sounds, you have to charge them in order for them to find the value in what you're saying. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're not getting over on people. You are providing a service. You're providing a resolution to a issue that they cannot solve for themselves. So I remember when I told Chris this, we should start this business. And then he immediately brought it up to his parents, and you could just see the disbelief. And his parents are good folks. I love his parents. His mom's amazing. She's been so helpful with us as a family and with our kids. But I could just see the disbelief because they hadn't seen it before. And that's just something you should also keep in mind. Just because you haven't seen it done before doesn't mean it can't be done now. If you haven't seen anybody else that you know do it, you can be the first. And I was the first for a lot of things in my family. I remember when I told my family I was going to Ecuador. Like, the shock and disbelief on their face was like, okay. And then when I actually went and I came back and they were like, okay, that's over. I remember, I think it was a week after I had come back and I was meeting up with my family again and we were having like, I think it was my niece's birthday. And I said, guess what? I'm going to South Korea. And I mean, everybody just looked so baffled, like, you just got back from Ecuador. Why are you going to South Korea? Like, what's in South Korea? And I was like, so much. There's so much there for me, and I can't wait to discover what it is. And I went. I went for 2 weeks. It was an amazing time. But it's all about changing your paradigm, because if I had told myself, well, that's a lot of money, I don't know if I can go, I can't do it, I wouldn't have gone. So the best way to change your paradigm, to change the things that people have, or the environment, your environment has told you, this is who you are, you should do things like this, go out and get a job, you can't have your own business. All those things are lies. You need to learn to identify the lie and replace it with the truth. This is super important. And the best way to do this is to read books on the regular. If you have to do books on CD, that's my best friend. Books on CDs are my best friend. I've gotten so much information from books on CD. I listen to inspirational speakers. I am constantly watching something on TV that's a motivation for what I want to do. And I'm going to give you a couple of books that have been extremely helpful for me. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That is an amazing book. If you have never read it, that would be the first book that I recommend you read. And don't read it just once. You need to read it at least 5 different times. Like I went ahead and bought it as a book on CD, and I listened to it at least 2 or 3 times throughout the year, just sporadically, depending on what's going on, because there's so much valuable information. And it was so much stuff that he was talking about that was like mind blowing to me. It was hard for me to really believe that you could have whatever you want. Like you can have whatever you want. It's all about what you're telling yourself. It really just boils down to the thoughts that you're thinking. Like, think positive things. If you want something good, you can have something good. If you want to make millions of dollars, it is possible. If you tell yourself it's possible. If you listen to the lie of no, nobody's ever done that, I'm crazy, I'm silly, well, then nothing's going to happen. That's why you got to keep feeding yourself the positive things, because what you focus on is going to expand. So if you focus on the positive, you'll have more of a positive experience. If you harp on all the negative stuff that happens, well, that's all you're going to see. Whatever you go into the situation looking for, you're going to find, whether that be negative or positive. A couple of people that I love to listen to that were inspirational speakers, Lisa Nichols, she has an amazing story about overcoming poverty. Les Brown, he has an amazing story. He has a twin brother. They were given away by their mother, who was doing the best that she could. And they had a really strong story of overcoming poverty, all the negative stuff that people had to say about them. He didn't let the environment tell him, like, you're mentally retarded. And that's what he got told for years, you're mentally retarded. It took one person to tell him, you don't have to accept that, and it changed his whole life. Okay? So those are 2 people that you should really look into. There's tons of speakers out there. That's just one. Another person, Bob Proctor. I love Bob Proctor. If you've never heard of Bob Proctor, you need to look him up. He's got tons of books, tons of audio, tons of videos. Such a powerful man. He didn't have his awakening until he was 26 years old. He was always in debt, couldn't figure it out. And then it took one person. It only takes one person to change somebody else's life. Think about that. One person, whether it be good or bad, to shift your life in the direction of your goals or away from the direction of your goals. So Bob Proctor, look into him. He has so much valuable information. Every time I listen to his videos, I get something new out of it. So this is my video for today. I really want you to think about it. What is your paradigm? Like, what did you grow up in your environment hearing? What did you accept as a truth that was actually a lie? You write that down. You write down everything that you were told or you learned or maybe you saw that was a lie, and find something to replace it with that's an actual truth, and see how that starts to shift your paradigm. Not just your paradigm, but your whole environment, the way you work, the way you talk to other people, just everything that you come in contact with, it starts to change because you are changing you. Therefore, the way you look at other people will actually change as well. Thank you guys. If you need help, my fiance and I, we consult. We work with businesses, people that have business ideas or they have an existing business, and we help them to solve the pain points within their business. We do this, and I love it because I personally love hearing the stories of how people get from point A to point B, or how they're attempting to get from one point to the next. And so our website is b4btulsa.com. You can fill out the form and we will be in contact, or I have a class on there where you can actually just download a pre-recorded class that's going over the fundamentals of a business, the must-haves of a business, of any business, doesn't matter what it is. So thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to talking to you soon.